oh my goodness, what have I done to deserve this? All right, we're just gonna jump into today's video, and I'm basically gonna be reacting to my own video. So I put a video out a couple, 2-3 days ago talking about the NAR lawsuit. So if you're unfamiliar, National Association of Realtors lawsuit, it was a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, a lot of companies involved, and they recently settled at least on one group of the lawsuits. There's several others that are still out there, but the big one that just came down, they settled on $400+ million over the next 4 years. All right, so if you watched the video that I put out a couple days ago, and I will link it in the description box so that you can see it if you want to get caught up. But basically, I just told you how I felt about it. And I spoke from my heart, and I let you know that myself as a real estate broker for 26 years, how I felt about it and how I perceived it. And let me tell you what, I'm looking right down here at my laptop, and I'm going to read some of these comments, and I'm going to tell you how I feel about them. So like I said, catch up with that video so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're on this video, I'm assuming you know what I'm referring to. So the landscape of real estate is really going to change dramatically, better or worse. It's going to change. It's going to be different, not just for real estate agents, but also for buyers and sellers. The entire landscape of the real estate world is going to change as we have known it. Some people feel good about it. Some people feel a little bit scared, a little bit of trepidation about it. Other people could care less. They're not going to buy a house anyway because houses are too expensive. So we're going to get into all that. All right, so I'm gonna read some of these comments, and let me just read a couple of the ones that jumped out at me first. So this comes from someone named Alex Renee, and it says, y'all, I'm a nurse. I'll be buying a house this year. I know, in all caps and bold, I need an agent. I just got approved for an FHA loan for $420,000, and I'm moving from Texas to Florida. I need an agent to help me understand the area. Super common. Most people that buy in Florida are not originally from Florida. I need to know where the pitfalls are. I didn't want to pay the commission and had no issue with an agent getting paid the normal way. I guess now I will have to pay it. That sucks. Not really seeing how that helps me. So I understand that. She said she's or maybe it's a he. This person said that they got an FHA loan. An FHA loan is minimum down. Usually FHA loans are used for people that are trying to put the least amount of money down. Your credit doesn't have to be perfect. There's a little bit of leeway in your credit score. Your debt ratio can be a little bit higher. She says, or he says, that they're a nurse here, so maybe there's student debt involved. I don't know. But what this person is saying is 100% accurate. So walk through that. This person needs somebody to say, look, this area has good schools. Now, some of you that are kind of making the comments in here will probably say, you could do all this yourself. Okay, so yes, you can look up crime stats, you can look up school ratings, and you absolutely 100% should. But what you may not be aware of are the things that we as real estate agents on the ground working here every single day, what we are aware of. For example, things like condo associations that we know a year from now are going to have issues with the engineer's report and in their reserves. So if you buy, and we know it because we've seen it trending through the years where they're underfunded, people maybe come to the area and they say, okay, I'm going to buy this condo, not this person, by the way, because FHA is near impossible to get done in Florida with a condo. So that's yet another thing that they would probably have to figure out on their own, and it might cost them their earnest money and their building inspection money to figure that out, because who else is going to tell this person that? But other things, like there are communities, like I'll just give you an example, like on Marco Island, that my personal self, when I've shown property, condos, I have said, beware. I know that you think these fees are low in this community, but I know they don't have an engineer's report. I know they're going to have problems with the lender's questionnaire. Many things that we help people understand so that they don't get in too deep and they've spent a couple $1,000s that maybe they don't have laying around. So I have had that happen 2 or 3 times on Marco Island where I help somebody not get into that scenario. Those are some of the things, areas that are not a flood zone. They're not a FEMA flood zone, but we know they're prone to flooding. I'll give you an example. Golden Gate Estates in the Naples area. Some of that area is flood zone, some is not. Some of the parts that are not flood zone are very, very prone to swampy land. So if you go buy a 3-acre lot because you want to put a pole barn on it, you want to do a big garden, you have plans, maybe you have heavy machinery you want to put in the back, because that's one of the few areas you can do that in. You cannot do that if you drive your truck into your back lot, your 3-acre beautiful lot, and it sinks down into the land. Was it a floodplain? No. But does it have an issue with swampy land? Yes. These are the things we know because we work in it every single day. I'll give you one more example. I know of 3 communities right off the top of my head that are condominiums. They're golf course communities. And because of the way they were built, and because of the material that was used, and we saw it as they were going up, they're pretty new. Anything above you sounds like somebody doing the river dance up above you because they didn't use the proper material for that not to happen. Now, those are things that are not going to be disclosable. They are not things that you're going to see anywhere on an inspection or a disclosure. These are things that we know as agents because we work feet on the ground every day. All right, next one. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. It's Al H, I'll say. He says, I appreciate your insightful perspective on the NAR lawsuit. Your honesty and clarity shed light on this important issue. Keep up the great content. Thank you. I appreciate that. And listen, friends, haters, everyone out there, I appreciate you being here. We're not going to agree on everything, and it's totally fine to have a healthy debate about things. What I don't love is the comments that are just mean and rude, that it's just pointless. But if we're trying to understand each other, listen, I'm going to work with you potentially in the future, and you're going to work with me potentially in the future. So don't you think it would be advantageous of us to figure this out together? It's new to you and it's new to me. So you know, I do appreciate every single one of you that's here watching me right now. This is from, I'm not sure how to say this, so I'm going to call this person W. I have the feeling that there was nothing organic about how this lawsuit developed. I think a couple of attorneys dreamt up this class action lawsuit. They saw an opportunity for a huge payday, and the fact that it was going to take down an entire industry was not their problem. I think this is a huge opportunity for Amazon to start selling homes, much like Craigslist sells cars. Amazon will even provide the financing. You wait and see. There is just too much money there for them not to enter the arena. 0 commission, just a listing fee. The real money will be made off the advertising for all of the services that the buyers and sellers will need. Yes, I agree with you. There's a big gaping hole for something like that. Somebody is going to step in and fill that void, and guess who's going to pay for that? All of those services, necessary or unnecessary. You know who it's going to be? It's going to be the buyers. I don't even think it's going to be the sellers, because the sellers, well, they could hit the sellers up for other things that they don't need either. Maybe like a house that was built in 2010 and then they require them to get a $1,700 lead-based paint inspection. Carrie Devine, buyers won't sign any deal to pay a buyer's agent. They will go directly to the seller. Now, what if the property is listed? They're just going to go knock on the door, because essentially they're going to the listing agent, first of all. They're not going to the seller. They're going to the listing agent because there's a contract there. And the listing agent has a fiduciary to the seller, not the buyer that knocked on their door. So we'll just start there. Just like buying a car, no middleman. Well, first of all, when you buy a car from a dealership, there's definitely a middleman. It's called the dealership and the salesman, and they get paid a commission. Realtors will have to recreate themselves and offer different services if they want to stay relevant. I mean, I agree with you, Carrie Devine, that we are, as agents, we're going to have to figure something out. Are things going to move forward the same as they always have been? No way, they're not. They just aren't. How is that going to play out? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, personally, I don't think flat fee is a bad idea. You know, maybe there's a flat fee that makes sense. But for me, I'm a big advocate that I don't think the buyer should be put in a position where they have to come up with commission. Because what I'm worried about is that your FHA buyers, your USDA buyers that are 100% financing, your VA buyers that are 100% financing, and they can't put their own money into the deal. This becomes problematic, and those are the people, generally speaking, that really do need the representation. You might be somebody out there, you're buying your 5th house in Naples, you know, it's a second home for you. You bought so many houses, you can do it in your sleep. Maybe it's not as important to you. Maybe you don't need me. Personally, I wouldn't go cut my own hair. There is no way I'm going to represent myself outside of the state of Florida in buying something as expensive as a home. I say this all the time, like my brother, he lives up in Boston, and that's a beautiful area. If I went to go buy a house in Boston, I'm not licensed there. So if I went to buy a house in Boston, I need a good agent. I need an agent that will make sure A, B, C, D, E is getting done, because I don't know the protocol there, and I don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and end up in the trick bag. Like I said, I wouldn't cut my own hair, so I'm sure as heck not going to buy a house on my own with no representation. Danny 111. Who needs a listing agent? Sellers have other much cheaper options to get on the MLS. They do. So you could go to one of those companies right now that's like I don't know, we call them FSBO companies, for sale by owner companies. So you could pay them, X company, and you pay them, let's just say $500 to get on the MLS, the multiple listing service. And then you do your own pictures, you do your own write-up, and you offer X amount to a buyer's agent so that they bring you a buyer. So you paid $500 and then you paid the buyer's agent. Well, that component of it is going to be gone. So you can get in the MLS, theoretically, you go pay that same company $500, then you're not offering a buyer's agent anything, because as of July, there is no compensation for a buyer's agent in the MLS. It cannot go in there at all. So what is even the purpose of going in the MLS anymore? Daniel B. 516. I can see paying someone to do a job, but it's a little tough to justify $20K or $40K for very little work. So now they're going to have to justify whatever it is. Buyers never cared before because they were sticking it up the sellers. Who the H can justify those huge numbers? All right, Daniel B. 516. I'm going to agree and I'm going to disagree. So first of all, I can see paying someone to do a job, but it's a little tough to justify $20K to $40K. I hear you. I hear you. I'm going to agree with you. So I would just say this, to every needle in a haystack deal that you get for $20K or $40K, for most agents. Now, if you're an agent that mainly works above $1 million, you're seeing these pretty often. But generally speaking, those agents aren't doing a lot of deals. Some are, but most are not. Because 10% of the agents do 90% of the business. That is absolutely true. In any market, 10% of the agents are doing 90% of the business. So the 90% of the agents that are out there scrapping, when they get one of those that hits at 20, 30, 40K, that could be their only deal for the year. They could have worked 50, 60, 70 hours a week doing all their marketing, driving people all over the coast of Florida, writing deal after deal after deal. During the COVID years, my average was 10 offers per one buyer to get one deal. So can you imagine how much driving around, how much negotiating, how much money spent? And then, like I said, there's the marketing when you're listing. There's your health insurance that you pay for on your own. There is the no pension. There are all the fees that you pay to the MLS boards, the NAR, to your company. There is a lot more than what maybe the average person sees that's not a real estate agent that goes on. So 90% of the agents are scrapping for what's left over. And when they hit with one of those deals, it might just get them, after working way over 40 hours a week, it might just get them to $60,000, $70,000 gross pay per year. See Bostic 817. For those that say it helps the market, time tells all tales. Because when that cash-strapped buyer or veteran goes to purchase, the end of the story will reveal itself. And he says, sigh. Couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. That's going to be a problem. So I've been talking for about 20 minutes now, and I just wanted to come on and talk to you about that because, listen, I love all of you. I love all of you. Those who are fans, those who are haters, those who are here just to kind of figure things out. This is what we have to do. We have to debate a little bit, but if we see each other's side and we listen through, when you leave questions and you leave comments, hopefully they're respectful, but I will go back through and I'll answer them here on video because we're all in a little bit of a whirlwind right now. All of us are. I don't know how it's going to work out for me. I have no idea. I've done this 26 years. We're going to see. But what I do know is in your profession, you want to be paid. In your profession, you work hard. I'm making the assumption you work hard throughout the week and you want to be paid at the end of the day, just like a real estate agent. Same thing. In your profession, there's probably good agents and bad agents. In my profession, we have the same thing. So I would just say let's all be respectful of each other. Let me know in comments what you think, and I'll get to them in another video.